The wedding that I will never forget, my first love. The wedding that I will never forget was not remembered because of the flowers, the music, or the beautiful lights that covered the hall like a thousand tiny stars. It was remembered because that was the day my first love became a memory I would carry forever. Even now, when years have passed and life has taken me down roads I never expected to travel, I can still close my eyes and find myself standing there once again, surrounded by laughter, celebration, and happiness, while my heart quietly fought a battle nobody could see. The evening had arrived dressed in beauty. Families gathered together, children ran through the crowd with innocent smiles, and joyful voices filled the air. Everyone seemed to be celebrating love, and perhaps that was why fate chose that particular day to remind me of mine. I arrived expecting nothing more than another wedding, another gathering, another memory that would eventually fade into the background of my life. But destiny had written a different story. As I walked among the guests, greeting familiar faces and exchanging polite smiles, I suddenly saw someone I never expected to see again. It was her, my first love, the girl who once occupied every corner of my heart, the girl whose name had once felt like a prayer and whose smile had once been enough to brighten my darkest days. For a moment, the noise around me disappeared. The music became distant, the laughter faded into silence. The world seemed to stop moving while my heart remembered everything it had spent years trying to forget. There she was, standing beneath the wedding lights, looking as beautiful as the memories I had carried all this time. Time had changed many things, yet somehow it had changed nothing at all. The same eyes, the same smile, the same presence that could make my heart forget how to beat properly. I looked at her, and suddenly every forgotten memory returned. I remembered the dreams we once shared. I remembered the conversations that lasted until midnight. I remembered the promises that life never allowed us to keep. Most of all, I remembered the feeling of loving someone with all my heart without knowing whether that love would ever find its way home. She looked happy, and seeing her happy filled me with both peace and sadness. It was a strange feeling, the kind that only first love can create. Part of me wanted to smile because happiness looked beautiful on her. Another part of me felt the quiet ache of knowing that some stories are not meant to last forever. Throughout the evening, I found myself watching from a distance, not because I wanted to disturb her life, but because my heart was saying goodbye to a chapter it had never completely closed. The wedding around us celebrated the beginning of a new journey for two people deeply in love, while inside me another journey was ending. It was the journey of holding on to a dream that belonged to the past. Every song that played seemed to carry a memory. Every laugh reminded me of days when we laughed together. Every smile reminded me of moments when I believed love could conquer anything. Yet life teaches us lessons that love alone cannot change. Sometimes people meet at the wrong time. Sometimes circumstances become stronger than feelings. Sometimes two hearts care deeply for one another and still find themselves walking separate paths. As the night continued, I realized something important. My first love was never a mistake. She was never a regret. She was a blessing disguised as a heartbreak. Because of her, I learned how deeply a person can care. Because of her, I learned that love is not measured by how long it lasts, but by how deeply it touches the soul. Because of her, I discovered parts of myself that I might never have known otherwise. When the wedding finally came to an end and people slowly began leaving, I took one last look across the room. I did not know whether she noticed me. I did not know whether she remembered our story the way I did. But none of that mattered anymore. What mattered was the gratitude I felt, gratitude for the memories, gratitude for the lessons, gratitude for a love that once made my world brighter. As I walked away beneath the quiet night sky, I realized that some people never truly leave our hearts. They become part of who we are. They become memories that visit us unexpectedly through songs, seasons, and familiar places. They become chapters we never reread but never throw away. The wedding that I will never forget was not unforgettable because it was grand or perfect. It was unforgettable because it gave me one final chance to see the person who had once been my entire world. It reminded me that first love leaves footprints on the heart that time can soften but never erase. And although our story did not end the way I once hoped, I left that wedding carrying something more valuable than sadness. I carried peace, the peace of knowing that some loves are not meant to stay forever. They arrive to teach us, to change us, and to leave behind memories beautiful enough to last a lifetime. And so, whenever I think about that wedding, I do not remember the decorations or the music first. I remember her, my first love, the chapter that ended long ago, yet somehow remains one of the most beautiful pages of my life.